Hello and welcome to June's Collective Energy Reading. My name is Faye and I'm from Your Heart's Path. We are going to be traveling through 5 or 6 different energetic themes that I can foresee coming in for the month of June. I share this information so that you can work with these energies to really work from a place of empowerment. So if you come up against some of these themes that we're not in a space of resistance or disempowerment, not knowing what to do with these, it's more so that you have this awareness and you can work with this. So I'll share with you as many tools as I possibly can to navigate this energy from a heart-centered place, but to really bring some, I want to say some realism to the intensity of what we actually have been experiencing and where this sort of starts to take us now. So we're just out the other side of this retrograde period. We're in that post-shadow stage where I still feel like there's a bit of an invitation to go slow, even though we can feel that it really did kind of cut off yesterday. And when I say cut off, we felt the retrograde stop. It was like, oh, what a relief. But this relief has been very humbling. And when I say humbling, I feel like we've all had a bit of a look at really the depths and where we still have work to do. It's like our new lessons or karmic contracts, if you want to look at them, have been served. And when I say served, we're kind of moving into a very new energy now. So I felt like this retrograde was really like quite a collective death. And overall, we're going to see a lot of birthing energy. The very first period out the other side of birth, especially after what felt like quite a traumatic birth, if I can be quite honest with you, we felt very squeezed and extremely tested. The reaction and the response to that may need some tidy up and some cleanup now. But there's this period now of really needing to nurturing. And so even though you have the insight as to what's coming up for you, I really want to encourage you to just take at least the first week of June to go super slow. Slow allows for a little bit more flow to come in. It's been very chaotic and we've kind of been acting in all different areas of life and trying to manage and juggle. And I feel like we're off the springboard now. We can come back into stillness and slowness, and we really want to sort of be working with this flowing energy. So presence comes into that, of course, and so does, but there is an element of balanced and planning. I still want a little bit of structure as far as get really clear about what it is that you want to work with this month so that you can keep yourself nice and focused. And how can you do that at a pace that brings gentleness into your body and you can work with flow on a daily basis. This is not about running to the finish line right now. This is really about figuring out what sort of pace that you need to move out and what you need in your life in order to stay consistent in that pace so as that your goals long term are able to manifest and come into fruition, because these are not short, fast goals that just bloom in 2 weeks' time. These feel like things that we start working at now that you might see the fruits of your labor in sort of 5 to 6 months. So patience and diligence is really important here. But please just be mindful. It can feel like we're having big bursts of energy and there's all this stuff you want to get done, but slow gets us into kind of this new rhythm where you get to start feeling and sensing these aspects of you that want to do things a little bit differently. Practicing silence here can be really important. It's a very disciplined practice. It does actually require quite a vast amount of concentration and focus. But practicing 5 or 10 minutes of silence will just help you see where you are at. And when I say where you're at, it's all okay. We're all at different stages of evolution right now. But in the midst of silence, if that is something that feels really challenging, it will take you to where your mind still feels like it needs to address pieces. So if we go into that place and the mind's super scattered, you might feel like, okay, I really do need to integrate this exercise practice that I've been talking about doing, or it is really time to start socializing a little bit more, because when I'm in there, all I feel is just super lonely, or I need to connect with my guides a little bit more because I'm outsourcing my intuition. And really the invitation here is to strengthen my own inner guidance system. So if there is stuff or that kind of feeling of like, oh, I don't know about silence, if that feels like something really challenging, the invitation almost feels even greater. It's like that phrase, if I don't have time to meditate for half an hour, then meditate for an hour, and it kind of feels like that sort of energy right now. Before I go into the specific themes, I would also really like to kind of bring in this piece around ritual. Right now, and we're going to go into this a little bit further down the track potentially, but right now how you set your day up feels really, really crucial. I actually am going to start. This was a theme that was coming on later on, but I am actually going to go in there because it all feels interconnected. So let's begin. This main theme around behind closed doors is actually what I really want to have a look at as your invitation for a little bit more mastery and a little bit more authenticity. I want you to be a little bit more in your integrity when you are behind closed doors. So it's very easy to be your best self when you show up one-on-one in a client session, when you are showing up to work, when you are in interaction with other. What I really want to shine the light on, which has felt like it's been in the darkness a little bit, or a little bit more in the unconscious, or it doesn't matter so much, is this time that you are by yourself, this time when you're at home, when you're with the people that share your life very intimately. It's the behind closed doors stuff. It's your ritual space. It's your devotion space. It's how are you spending your free time? How are you spending this period where no one is looking? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you doing with that time and that space? And how is that ultimately affecting your vibration? So yes, there is a different lens here or a different perspective when you can be your best self quite easily and naturally, even if that means fake it till you make it in a social situation or environment where you're quite well practiced. But what's going on with your practice when it is just you? And I feel like if we can even sit in this moment and reflect on how am I spending my time, if I have the weekend, do I spend it, all weekend watching Netflix and shit shows that program my mind to feel sorry for myself? Or am I spending time in nature? Or am I doing the things that I love? Am I starting that project I've really wanted to start? And am I walking my talk? Is this real big feeling? And if you don't already have a ritual or devotional practice that allows for you to come into balance, is the word that I want to use, balance, so as that you can navigate your day in a little bit more alignment, then this is like crucial. It's like a must do. There's almost like no more excuses anymore. If you're on this spiritual path and you're really devoted to this place of awakening, if we can even call it that, at the expansion of your consciousness, of becoming who you are, integrating your higher self, moving through your soul and your karmic contracts, then we have to have a connection point. Connection point, especially in the morning, because the soul is traveling and doing so much work at nighttime. Now you would have noticed your dreams have been like really intense. There is a lot going on in that space. And so really settling and landing in the body, even if it's not deconstructing your psyche and, cleansing and clearing in that space, you're just kind of sitting and getting into comfort and coming back into alignment so you can feel your next step for the day, also, so that you can move into a deeper state of love and authenticity and integrity behind closed doors. Your vibration will actually start to shift. So there's opportunity for vibrational expansion at this moment in time. Because we've been contracted, purged, the vibration of the planet dropped a little, and now we want to kind of lift it up. It feels a bit manic, and you might have felt that through the retrograde period of like great days, shit days, great days, shit days, great days, shit days, and now we're kind of moving into something that feels a little bit more moderated, but it will also start to increase as the month of June comes about. Doesn't mean that we avoid challenges, right? And I think we've been humbled in this area. We've been humbled emotionally. Where are we still reacting? This brings up this element of rage. Rage was felt very intensely through the retrograde period. This was ancestral rage. This was rage that is and was around the planet. It was triggered inside of you to really, I want to say, test where you're at as far as reaction and response, something we've been working and looking at over the last 6 months. But also it sort of highlights, okay, well, what is the rest of my life doing that isn't supporting me to be able to let parts of this go gently and slowly? It really did feel like it erupted like a bit of a volcano, and we were sort of lost in that space. If you did experience that, otherwise it might have manifested as like frustration or irritation. Just this kind of scratchy feeling of like, fuck, I want to get out of my body. Excuse me, I shouldn't be swearing. But What that does now is gives you an invitation and an opportunity with your emotional body to come back to balance, to be more aware of how your triggers start to present themselves before they even happen or they occur. And with this awareness that you now have from this retrograde period, it's actually time to go to work before we even hit that point again, before we're even tested with that energy. And rage is not something that and even anger and frustration, irritability, they're actually all welcome, but they're healthy expressions of these energies. And it's necessary in order to expel these, but not in the form of harming other or causing destruction and chaos and hurt to yourself or to those who are around you. So it's, there are lots of different techniques with this. Through self-pleasure, you can release this, through sound, through movement. It's very hard and challenging to move like rage to that degree from a space of stillness. So coming into balance, of course, but then this invitation for actually physical movement. If you've been in a state of lay or laziness, I would really encourage you to begin moving and moving daily. And do it with this intention. I'm releasing this big fire. I want you to have fire as a means of inspiration and passion. Please don't get me wrong, but not to have this flame so freaking big that you don't know how to contain it. It gets very challenging to stay in a means of balance, and it feels like then the external world just kind of keeps throwing fuel on your fire. So you really want to be able to build this relationship with this fire inside of you, so as that you can keep it at a place that feels safe, actually. And I do feel like we had a look at what was safe and what we need to be safe, and fear, safety and fear were two things that really came up as big themes. And I do feel like we're going to be working with those through the month of June continuously. That moves us on into the next theme that I would really love to have a look at. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, so what are you doing when nobody is watching? And I wrote down that we cleaned up and now it's time to freshen up. So managing this piece now, when you are by yourself, when you are you, when you have this time and this space and this place, how do you desire and how do you need to be in that space in order to continue to raise your vibration and not come into a space where you then go out into the world and it's false? Because vibration is, you can feel it. We can feel that untruth from somebody if we're in communication with them. So honesty and truth to the self will allow for you to be honest and truthful to other. Okay, moving into the next theme. We had a good look at wealth. We had lots of crashes. We had a lot of people get sort of very frightened and fearful around money and wealth. And I'm bouncing back to the previous month because now we're working with these themes of the things that we've cleansed out, cleared, and had a good look at. So how can we actually work with this to benefit you and to benefit your higher self and the highest good of all? So wealth upgrades is actually an opportunity right now, even if you have just experienced great loss, or there has been panic and fear around debts, or fear around investments, or making the wrong decision. I want to highlight the guides have said that some of this has actually been really karmic. Karmic in the sense that we've been able to have a look at the safety piece in and around our needs that are based not just on survival, but what's that next piece up for you? What is it that you actually need as far as wealth in order to thrive and not continuously go into those moments of panic where you don't feel like you have enough? And enough can be resources, enough can literally just be stuff to put food on your table, enough can be the energy in order to create, to be able to create more wealth, to offer that value. Do you not have enough practices to stay in your heart so that what it is that you are offering is nice and truthful? And I know that people have different circumstances and different experiences around this. And this is not about playing the victim with wealth right now. It's about sort of starting to become a little bit more clever, taking a bird's eye view of your current situation, getting really honest and true about whether you... it's almost like there were stories in this space around like, I don't have enough and panic and I need this and I don't have this and I don't have that. And, I want to say like people are not outsourcing this, and the desire to borrow is sort of weaned off. And I guess what I'm saying inside of that is, can you be really honest and truthful as to whether or not that is the truth? Because sometimes I feel like we panic when you've had a look at how somebody else lives, or you desire something but you don't actually really need it at this point in time because it's not a part of your evolution and your growth. wealth is a vibration. We know that money is a vibration. We know that resources are also vibration, our ability to be able to receive. So looking at this vibrationally, not as in poor me, but okay, I'm experiencing this now. What else is it from this place or this vibration of wealth? Is it that I really need to learn, to honor, to understand, so that those contracts can be officially ticked off and you are able to upgrade into a different space when it comes to wealth? And again, wealth is not just about finances. It travels across the whole way through your life. And this might not be manifesting in the realm of money for you. It might actually be wealth as in health. You know, what does it mean? What do you need in order to sustain your health? And what happens if you are affected by your health? What then happens to your wealth? And you can see with these different things, how we do one part of life is how we do all parts of life. I kind of believe that to be somewhat true. And I do think vibrationally, of course, they affect one another. So if it's not specifically around money, but this vibration of wealth feels like it needs a tuning in other areas of your life, wealth in connection, wealth in creation, wealth in health, wealth in joy, and an abundance of what is available to you. And how is it that, or what lens do you need to look at this month to raise the vibration of your wealth, knowing full well that that might not actually be directly through your service work or making money, but knowing that they are all interconnected and that the belief system can travel through or from another area directly into that area that allows for you to respond or not respond, or to continue these fears of unsafety when it comes to what I feel like is actually more like survival mode. So there are some people that are going to be definitely moving out of survival mode this month, and there are others that are going to have ideas or new projects that they start to begin the momentum of moving out of survival mode. So safety has kind of been, I want to say, we looked at that from a different perspective. We looked at safety from its simplicity, as in, where am I safe? Where do I need to feel safer? This felt very strongly connected to communication. So how you talk to yourself, is that creating a safe environment for you to be in? Safety as in the environments in which I'm living in, the environments in which I am spending my time in. Do I feel safe? What do I need to do in order to feel safer, to stay in my body, to feel protected? And I feel like a lot of this has actually come from like our lineage, and I want to say Mother Earth as well. She has kind of purged out this element of like, take better care of me, you know? And how can we better take care of other in that space as well? So looking at this from a really karmic perspective, or like this is a contract that your soul has been given, it really does kind of allow for a little bit of like, okay, this is part of my experience. Then we look at what it is there is to learn. We take the action in order to change around the belief systems, the psyche. The fragment of the soul comes back into that space, or that part of you that's dancing in another reality where this story is playing out, and more of you comes back into the body and the being to be able to respond and do it in a different way. Anything that we missed there, please? So safety, when we look at safety as a whole, I kind of want to bring in like the element of the tribe as well. People are really, really deeply desiring community. And I know that there are lots of new communities sprouting, but I do want to say that I feel like some of this is slow in momentum. Slow in momentum in that we might not start to see this in the physical for another sort of 1 to 2 years, actually, like the communities in which you really feel like you're thriving in. So there'll be people moving around right now, starting new jobs in different places, meeting new people, and relationships take time to cultivate. Trust, they take some time to cultivate. Connection, they take time to cultivate. Who plays what part in this connection? But a lot of this feels very soul aligned, if that makes sense. So as contracts shift at the period of a death and we come into a birth, it's like you actually are starting sort of like new themes and new chapters. So if there's been resistance to leave your job, if there's been resistance to leave a relationship and it's not actually in alignment for you, or it's not working, or there's been resistance to be living in a certain place and you desire to be somewhere else, and it's still been too tricky, then please support yourself in that space. And what do you need in order to feel stronger to take that risk? Or where does the bravery need to come from, or the courage? What do you need to manifest that courage in order to take that step into that place? But most of you, I feel like, are just over the line, and we're going to start to move into this nice and slowly now. nice and slowly, in that we're not looking for instant reward. It's actually something that you do behind the scenes as well as in your everyday life and in your connection that will lead you to these places. So your community might not be in the healing center that's down the road. Your community might be that you start to, what's a good example, please? It might be that you desire to read more books. So you start going to your favorite bookstore that's got a coffee shop. And so you sit down at the coffee shop and then you end up having a conversation with somebody that's sitting next to you, and you get along really well, and you decide that you'd meet there in a week's time and come and have another cuppa, and then you meet their friends, and it's sort of like allow for a little bit more synchronicity. It's almost like letting go of some control as to how this should look or feel, and really start to follow your own inner flow, your own inner guidance when it comes to your daily living, where you place yourself when you're making those decisions. Let's say like behind closed doors. And we've gotten really real with ourselves in that space. It's like, okay, what if this is actually fantasy, and what if this feels really real and true? What about this environment and these people that I'm spending my time with feels really great? And what actually doesn't anymore? And where am I, and I think in that space we've laid down new boundaries. We've laid down new boundaries with ourselves. There's a stronger ability this month to be able to say no. There's a stronger ability to be able to follow through with your yes if it feels like it's nice and true. And ultimately, yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to say like it is about sort of taking some leaps and bounds this month, but I don't know. I kind of like some of the desire that comes in from this space as well. When there are wealth upgrades, obviously there's going to be ideas and inspiration that comes through in order to bring more of this into your life, especially when it comes to who you are communicating with, this theme of community. So yeah, I feel like passive income is going to be a bit of a theme this month. You might see lots of ads for that, but ads on your thing, as you're scrolling on the internet. But some of these things, again, karmic contracts, what is here for you will come to you, but you've got to be here in the now, and kind of vibrationally speaking, that's really where we want to tweak this from, so that you're available to receive it. So do the work behind closed doors to become that vibration, so that the inspiration can come into you, and then you have the safety, the support, and the stability with the awareness around wealth and prosperity and abundance, and then take the action steps from that place when you are connected to your heart, not from this space of fear. So mindful when you're manifesting, that you're not manifesting from a place of lack. You're actually manifesting or cultivating that feeling and sensation inside of you, even if that just means faith, that you are manifesting from your heart and not from a place of fear or lack of. Okay. Moving on. I like that we're taking this a little bit slower today. I really do. Independence. Interesting. Especially when we've just had a look at, some of these themes already around community. Independence, meaning whatever that means for you. But there has been like triggers around independence, outsourcing our power, outsourcing guidance system, outsourcing services to support you in your journey, because I do feel like some of these are unnecessary now, because you've got the tools inside of you to do this for yourself, and it might just be a laziness piece, or and when I say lazy, like take that with lightness. It might be a laziness piece or an inability to follow through, or that there is an invitation to love yourself more deeply, to actually do your practice and see what happens and how vibrationally things start to change in your everyday life. So what sort of services and places or people have you been going to outsource a sense of guidance or wellness where you already have the tools to do it inside of you, would be one little lens. And then two, being really realistic with the support piece around these services. So some of them are so super necessary, and those things that bring you back to be able to honor and do this for yourself, or to have a better understanding, or like sort of support you so that you can do more and be more of you in this life, are really sort of important. And just because you are paying for somebody else's service doesn't mean that you are not good enough. People are skilled in so many different areas, and I just really feel like resourcefully we need each other in this space. So there could actually have been triggers come up in that space. I felt it in the reading space of like this resistance of, you know, even my language feels like it's changed a little bit when I'm working with somebody one-on-one. It's like just being really mindful that I'm not doing the parts for them that they can already do. It's like, okay, well, where can we actually be of service here? Guidance is really beautiful and it's really important, as is all of these other resources that we have. And insight, you know, they make sure though it's coming from a place that inspires you. And when I say inspires you, like, your heart and your soul light up, and you still get to do it in your own way. And some of this is just a translation issue, or it's that you have the space and the time to be going inward to receive these answers, but you're choosing not to because it's easier just to go to somebody else. So I don't know that we're really working with easier anymore. We are, no matter where we are, we're still going to come up with against challenges. And I feel that's the way in which we approach this, where we've had this lens of truth kind of go, hold on a second, I really feel like I could be putting some more love into this area of my life. And if that feels too challenging, why am I not able to do that? Can I get some support to be able to get to that place where I can, or to move through the resistance piece, or just to surrender to what has been asked of you? Because there's no fast tracking that period. You'll go round and round and round and round until you grasp it, it's integrated, and then you get to move forward. So let's not get obsessed with this forward momentum and being somewhere else that you're not already, and really harnessing this lens of like, everything is as exactly as it's meant to be in this now moment, and everything I need is available to me. Everything you need, you already have to do the next part. And when we can be in this space, it allows more softness, a little bit more surrender, the heart opens, we get into that flow space, and we can take care of ourselves. We also then know when it's okay to ask for this support, when we need this piece. Support helps with that base chakra around the safety and this element of the tribe. You know, your tribe is and forever will be super important, and it's going to take time to really have established those new communities on this earth. I really do feel that. And a lot of this can feel like it's online as well. And so human interaction does feel really important still. Not putting yourselves in places that make you feel really drained, but just making sure that you are making time to have a cup of tea with the person that you really love. To, you know, I feel like physical face-to-face contact is, you know, it can be once a week, it can be once every 10 days, but nurture these relationships that are important to you, because I feel like we let some of those slide throughout the retrograde period. But anyway, this is actually all really good. And I know that some of this can feel like, oh, we got some more challenges. We're always going to have challenges. So I, as harsh as it sounds, like, I want to say, like, lighten up. You're doing everything possible that you know, you're exactly where you're meant to be. And with this perspective, with this lens, with this reminder and this understanding, you're exactly where you need to be, and everything is happening for you. It's like, all right, I got this, you know, it humbles us in this way. We're always going to have work to do. If we weren't, we wouldn't be here. So independence is a big thing, but let's just make sure that that's not coming from the ego, and that really is coming from a place or an invitation to be more independent if you need to be in certain areas of your life, and follow through, do the work with that piece. Where are you outsourcing where you don't need to, but also where are you not allowing in the support that you may need in order to thrive and to find that balance, and to empower you to be able to, you know, continue on your journey with as much grace as possible. Transformation through communication. I like this because words are extremely powerful. We know this. We can say one word, and every single time that that's been used amongst humanity, it's had an element of vibration attached to it. So words in which you use might actually start to change. You might, inside of your business, if you have one, start to use different words because the frequency feels different, and you've had a bit of an evolution or a change and transformation. And so you might decide to change your title. Business names can be changing. I feel like there's a birthing of different companies. Businesses in themselves, it's like new words and new things coming through vibrationally to assist in what's already been transformed. So communication has also come about in our relationship style, how we communicate with ourselves, really important. But communication in general feels like, I want to say, give yourself permission to work with silence in this space too. Give the communication like an exercise to speak in new words, new ways, express yourself in a way that might feel a little bit more edgy. I I want to say like language is changing, and vibrationally, because we are becoming more sensitive, energy is becoming this stronger lens of communication. Someone can say something to you, but you can feel the truth more than you can actually the words in which they're saying. So we've spoken about this before, but connecting the words to your heart as you are speaking from a heart-centered place, speaking from truth, it's really going to be amplified right now. So if you're in a place where you're doing that really gently and easefully, then people are going to feel you. It's quite magnetic. But be flexible with your words. If you need to change some things, if you do have your own business, I feel like I want to invite you to go there. It can actually have impact. That can mean like strange people in your life, like changing their names as well, last names changing. So we might see like weddings or even like commitments for marriage. So proposals, these sorts of things, births of children. So new names. It's like names coming on the board is this image in which I'm getting. I do feel like there's going to be a fair few pregnancies this month as well. When I say a fair few, I feel like we're having like waves monthly of different vibrations or souls coming into earth, and it feels like perhaps some of those souls are just really landing in the body, and frequency wise the names might be sort of starting to come through. But name change, I don't know what that's all about. If that resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, just let it go. But really be mindful of how you're speaking to yourself as well. I'm all about speaking out loud. I think it's actually really, I can feel where I'm at when I say things. I feel like sometimes I know when my inner voice is really kind and loving, and I also know when I'm being really aggressive and unkind to myself and to other people, because it manifests outwards, right? So if you feel like the way in which you're not talking to yourself has been very kind or very pleasant, then start to self-soothe in that way. Look at yourself in the mirror, tell yourself some things that feel really true for you. You're kind and you're generous and you're humble and you're doing your best, and really please affirm these things to yourself. Gentleness and kindness to you first and foremost is like, it's everything. And again, energy speaks. If you're beating yourself up at home and then you're going out into the world and you're like, hi everyone, how you going? I'm great. It's like, you're just putting out bullshit radar. So what you're doing behind closed doors, including the way that you communicate with yourself, is going to manifest outwardly. And don't be surprised if you're going out there with a bullshit vibration, if things feel weird and you come back and you're like, oh, well, that's strange. Why was that so freaking uncomfortable and awkward? And did I feel this and that and the other? And reassess, how was I talking to myself before I went out? Was I really in my uttermost, was I being myself? And I think sometimes we've got to give ourselves permission to be ourselves, especially when we're going through a period of change and transformation, and when it comes to expression. So don't be shy. Truth is a very powerful commitment, and I still and will probably always look at truth as a language of love. And if you are saying unkind things to yourself, it's not the truth, because it's not who you are, not who you are becoming even. So yeah, just be mindful with that. Words are powerful, they really are. Sing if you can sing, everyone can sing, make sounds, make noises, pleasure in this. I kind of want to do that. Can we just take a deep breath? Alrighty. Soul purpose. Interesting. This is like risen its head again. I know we spoke about words and vibration. This one feels like the word purpose fluctuates for me vibrationally when I look at it in the collective, when I utilize it in my own world, when I hear clients say it. It's like it got thrown around really heavily like 3 years ago, didn't it? And now like purpose feels like this word, like the word's been upgraded. It's like it's got a new, we've got like a clearer understanding of it, or the consciousness around it is shifting and changing. I really want to pull apart this element today. Like I want to crack this egg open around truth and purpose. Purpose being like your soul's work here, but the guides felt really strongly to be like, it's not just about what you do for work. It's not, your purpose is not just what you do for work. Your purpose is not just what you do for work. It's a part of your purpose, but all of the pieces behind closed doors, all of the pieces that are not related to work are your purpose as well. It's your soul is here to experience an array of different experiences. And if work or, your job, because this is where they're feeling like, if this is not teaching you anymore, if this is not helping you up level and move forward, if this is not supporting you, if this is not creating a sensation of safety, if this doesn't feel like wealth and abundance, if you have come to a standstill in that place and it's affecting your purpose outside of that because you're exhausted and you can't do your practice because you're fatigued and you don't have time to socialize, if your whole life has been around putting your purpose just into your work, I don't want to say service work, I just want to call it work or your job, and there is imbalance in the other areas of your life then, and you're still clutching on or holding on to this piece, and you're not prepared to get a new job, quit your job, leave your job, do something different, create a different experience, no matter what age you're at or how far into your career you are at, then can you take the lens where purpose work is all of the other areas and all the other interactions and experiences and creations that you have outside of that space? Perhaps if you're in a job that is too demanding, you can cut a day, and that day becomes soul work, purpose work, because it's all of it. And really how we treat ourselves behind closed doors is how we can show up in our purpose, and separately or together how we show up with work. So I know that because we're very driven for progression, we want to create, we want to serve, we want to help and assist. It sort of all starts like soul work and soul job, and purpose work sort of starts to feel like it comes through this lens then that is just purely work, and it's not. I want to crack that and shatter that illusion, because it's everything. It's everything. It's your health. It's your well-being. It's your sexual relationships. It's your food you're putting into your body. It's the things that you're saying to yourself. It's sleep. It's your devotion. It's the way you take care of your dogs and your animals, the way you speak to nature. It's the vibration. So if all of your vibration, all of your energy is purely going into work and you are stuck there, then maybe time for some change. Just do it. And if you're doing your purpose work and your soul work, but then you're leaving all of these other areas of your life to just, there, then this is going to start to suffer. I want to say suffer as in like there's an imbalance there, and one will stop working because the other one's not working. So purpose is all of your life. It's how you do everything. And if we can just kind of shatter that illusion, and then you get to appreciate or have a look at all these other areas of life, so that your life is not just about working, and somewhat it is about service to other, but it's also about service to your soul and your soul's evolution. So I think the highlight or the piece that stands out the most is if there is no learning in that space for you anymore, if there aren't, even if there are challenges, if there's no reward, if there is no excitement or joy, it's just still and stagnant, you can't see that going anywhere, then perhaps it is time for some change. If that's just your reality and there is other stuff to do, then please make the most of this time that you have around here, because purpose is a very interesting word that I feel like got clunked into this box of work, and it's just not true. It's all of it. And I've heard people say before, you just being you and in your light and in your love is enough to make change and shifts on this earth. And there is actually truth to that. As uncomfortable as that felt for me through periods where I actually wasn't able to work, I was like, okay, I've got a responsibility here, and it's my purpose today to, ABC. And I think purpose just helps us have a bit of a pinpoint. It gives us some direction. It gives us some drive and some motivation. So perhaps there is a lens or a changing or an evolution with this word purpose, and really how you apply that into your everyday life. And sometimes that's simplifying things, and sometimes that's complicating things in order to try a whole array of different experiences, to take from that buffet all of those little elements to create your perfect experience. And that is unique to you. And so mindful where you are affected by other, be inspired by other, but you don't have to do what other people tell you to do or to live a way that other people have told you need to live. There are new ways of doing this, and we are paving a path into a very new future. We're actually in it, and this feels like big birth energy. So first week, please find that pace, find that I want to stay like rhythm that feels a little bit slower than the expectation that you may already have. Can you drop it back just a notch? And productivity will actually be greater. Your heart will be more involved. There'll be time for kindness. There's by but also, you know, it is a great time to be creating. So it's walk the talk, I guess, in that space, and out in the wild, but also behind closed doors. Anything else we want to mention or anything I've missed, please? Fearlessness of the future was just a little note that I put there. Is there any downloads around that, please? This is sort of just more connected to the karmic contract piece. Fearlessness of the future, work with where the fear is arising in your body now. These can be really simple things, and sometimes the really small things are like bits that have a greater root at the bottom. So if you can chip away, or you can go right down and do this work right from the bottom, and often sometimes that means a bit of support from somebody else. But fearlessness is an energy that I really like, and I feel like by the end of June we're going to be much more in that energy. Fearlessness of this kind of like, all right, I'm just going to give it a go. I am giving it a go. Oh, it feels good to give it a go, you know. Oh, this is exciting. It's new territory. So mindful again, don't be creating from fear. Make sure before you go into conscious creation that you are connected to your heart. You're at a space that feels peaceful. Listen to the rhythm of your heart. Slow it right down. Anything else, please? Feeling sensation, sentience is going to feel really good and really strong. I think trust has been cultivated through this sense, actually. And whether that be, I almost want to say like your discernment around your knowing as well. So your cognizance piece, but there's like we've up-leveled a little bit in there. The trust there of what you are feeling, sensing, seeing and knowing. It's like you're backing yourself a little bit. So continue this because it just gets stronger. It's all like little levels. So we trust on this plane, and Spirit's like, all right, let's do this a little bit stronger. So you become a little bit more sensitive and a little bit more insight starts to come through, and you can respond accordingly. I want you to trust yourself deeply, and I want you to also trust the future. And when we trust the future, we cultivate faith, and faith kind of allows for this place where fear just can dissolve a little bit. You can hold yourself in that place. And then you're creating from now, when you are consciously creating or taking action in the present moment for an outcome that is in the future, it just feels less controlled. And I feel like we are letting go of control of some things that we've had a different lens. I love to say that, don't I? We've had a different lens or a perspective shift when it comes to control. Those things we can't control, like our karmic contracts or our soul contracts. And then things that we do actually have an invitation to have some control over. And it's not about controlling your life, but if emotionally you're fluctuating like this all day, and you've got 45 minutes in the morning and instead you are, I don't know, snoozing your alarm for 45 minutes, can you actually get up and go into a place of silence and bring balance into your body and move through your day then? And then you are kind of taking control of the situation, but you're not then kind of beating yourself up as the day unfolds. It's like you then kind of go, all right, it's like a surrender. So there's a bit of control, letting go of what you can't control, and then coming back into this place where I guess you trust. You trust that the outcomes are for your highest good. So June overall feels good. I feel like the first week's quite different to the rest of the month. We're sort of partway into that already. I'm a little bit late doing this as per norm, but that's all good. So take us up to like the 7th, 8th, and the 9th even. Nice slow momentum. Things will start to pick up at that point. It'll start to feel a little bit more organized. If you start these things now, you will start to feel the reward of that, or the more balance inside of that. And you will start to feel these different aspects of you really starting to move you into a place that actually starts to feel really exciting. We will see the manifestation of this towards the end of June and into July quite fully. I think it can be quite a different reality shift. Generosity, please be generous with your time, generous with your words, generous with your energy. Generous feels delicious this month. To give to someone without any expectations of receiving anything back, I think is something that I have had to work on really strongly. You know, generosity was one of those things that even if I was gifted something or gifted some time, there was always this underlying expectation that I had to give something back, and that was my own patterning and programming. And I still find myself doing that now. It's sort of, you know, I might. even if it's the simple shit, like cooking somebody a meal and being like, oh, well, I kind of just expect now because I've done that for you that you're going to do this for me. It's like, no, all that stuff's bullshit. Give 100%, not to exhaustion, but don't hold back from generosity. Generosity can be in listening. Generosity can be in when you're putting your groceries through the checkout, you're actually present with the person that's serving you. You know, ask them how their day is. It's all this stuff that starts to tie together a bit of simplicity, but also brings about more meaning and more heart into all of your interactions. Oh God, I hope I haven't had that driving on my lip the whole time. I have. I try. Oh dear. Well done for your retrograde period. It was extremely intense. Also super necessary, right? You know, we need these cleansing out periods. It's actually really beautiful. We have a few of them every year, so it's not to be overwhelmed. We experience what we need to experience in order to readjust, make change. And yeah, it feels like happy new beginnings. I'm excited about this one. Pace important, and just be you. Take care of you first and foremost, and give where you feel like you have that ability to be able to do so. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you would love to book a reading with me, I've got lots of space this month. When I say lots of space, you'll just have to see all the details below and go through my calendar. You can book directly through there. I'm offering intuitive development at the moment as well. It's kind of a continuous piece. Intuitive development is amazing. I absolutely love it. You can choose between 3, 5, 8, and 12 sessions. They're all between 90 minutes and 2 hours long. And they're very specific to your intuitive gifts and your divine evolution. So with spirit, we tune in to what it is that's really natural and organic for you. So if where you have strengths, we can help you strengthen them. Where you have weaknesses, or you're curious about clairvoyance or things, you know, the translation of what it is you're sensing, seeing and feeling, we help with all of this. We tune into your matrix and do it according to the way in which you perceive reality, the way that you work with energy. So it's really beautiful in that way. It's quite an intimate space. There will also, in the next couple of weeks, be the first section, which is a prerequisite to work with me, as an online program, not a one-on-one session anymore. So that will be available on my website also. You will see me on Instagram more than you will anywhere else. So all those details are below. Yeah. Great to tune in. This was a one-take wonder, so I'm really stoked with that, and it's nice just to take it easily. I'm going to go off to the markets now and take some time for myself this afternoon, but lots of love and thanks for being here. Please leave your comments as well. All of that really helps with, I guess, like this underlying algorithm that is here. It's, yeah, even just pop a little smiley face or something. Let me know that you've been here, that you've seen. There's a few of you coming in now and I'm still not sure who you all are, so mwah. Take care and thanks for joining us.